Yeah, morning to you viewers. I'm here with you again the fourth Sunday of January 2014. On our last program, I wished all our viewers a Merry Christmas and a prosperous, successful 2014. I'm here with you today, February. This is January, but in February, the foundation will be observing, commemorating, whichever one you want to use, the 91st birth anniversary of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. If he was alive, he would have been 91 years this year. We have planned some special activities to commemorate this anniversary. As usual, there will be a number of programs and activities which we would like you to participate in. Those of you who have been with us over the months and years that we have been having this program would have an idea as to what we intend to do. But I am not the person to give you those details, though I will come in from time to time and make my comment as part of the foundation's executive. But with me today in the studio, I have two very competent representatives of the foundation. The Vice-Chairperson in the person of Miss Julianne Gaul to my right, and to my left I have the Public Relations Officer for the Foundation, Mr. Dwayne Edwards. Today's program will be dedicated primarily towards the observance of the 91st birth anniversary of Forbes Burnham. And to give you a preview of those activities, I want to ask the Vice-Chairperson, Mrs. Julianne Gaul, to give us that outline. And obviously I will make some comments and possibly strengthen those points. But I should say before we go to her, is that we're expecting and we're hoping that people who know Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham will support our program. I must tell you too that over the years we've been having this program, I've been contacted, called upon to increase the amount of programs that we have on Forbes Burnham. Some people say because more young people need to know about the man, we should have more programs. So if those persons are with me today, I want you to make note of what we will be having in February to observe the 91st birth anniversary of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Julianne, could you tell me those programs that we have outlined?
Okay, good morning viewers. Thank you Mr. Hinds for having me on the program once again. Our first activity this year would be a church service, a memorial church service at Kitty Methodist Church on the 16th of February. As you know, Kitty is where the birthplace of our founder leader and former president, and he was also a member of Kitty Methodist Church, and as such we go there annually to commemorate his birth anniversary. So we're inviting members of the public. The church service is 7 a.m. and we would like you to come out and join us on the 16th of February, Sunday the 16th of February at Kitty Methodist Church.
This is open to the members of the public as well.
Yes.
Persons within the party that Forbes Burnham formed, that is like the PNCR, as well as members of the public, can come to that program at the Kitty Methodist Church.
Yeah.
7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know the street name.
What else you have outlined?
The street name.
Hmm?
The street name.
The Kitty Methodist on
William Street.
on William Street.
William Street.
William Street.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. William Street, Kitty. The next activity would be on the 21st of February. That would be our annual symposium. That is when we meet and we plan our activities for the year.
The symposium or the conference?
The symposium, sorry. The symposium is where we be having a talk on local democracy.
Burnham and local democracy.
and local democracy.
Mhm.
That would be at St. Stanislaus College at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Our speakers for that symposium would be Mr. Theophilus Earl and Mr. Ronald Balkan, MP, APNU.
Mhm.
And they would be discussing local democracy. As we know, we're preparing for local government, and that is an area that was very much of interest to the founder leader, and as such we would be going into some details on local democracy and local government.
Yes, and when would you have your conference? Because
The conference
I think that your
would follow-
promises will more or less
the
take into
conference would
account
be
your
on
planning.
the 22nd,
Mhm.
our annual conference at Critchlow Labour College. That is for members and prospective members. So if you're interested in joining the foundation, becoming a member, the annual conference is where you would need to come, and you can participate in the deliberations, planning and organizing of activities, and if you're interested in being a part of the board.
What actually happens when you have this conference? That's where you plan your rest of activities for the year, as well as accommodating new membership and involving people in the activities of the foundation?
Yes, we review the previous year's activities, look at some of the things that we were able to accomplish and where we may have fell short, and we work along with those, try to implement some in the new year, and we plan new programs. Members would come up with different ideas, and we work out a program for the calendar year.
Okay.
And we would accept new members at the conference. We also have elections, the minutes, and the usual things that you would have at an annual
Conference, okay.
meeting.
What else you have planned here?
On the 23rd, we would have our commemorative cycle road race. We've been having this every year since the existence of the foundation. As you also know, Mr. Burnham was also very instrumental in sports, always a sports enthusiast and advocate for sports, and as such we would be having this road race. The road race would commence at Caracara. It would be a two-stage race, commencing at Caracara to Georgetown. That would be at the Homestretch Avenue,
Just
close
for,
to the
just
residence
for,
of
just for
the...
clarification,
yeah.
from Caracara Linden
Yeah.
down the highway to Georgetown.
To
That's the first leg.
The first leg
Mhm.
to the residence of the official residence of former President Mr. Burnham.
And then the second leg.
And then the second leg would be from Carifesta Avenue to Belfield
And back.
and back to
Residence.
Homestretch Avenue, the residence of
Yeah.
official residence.
We don't have the mileage of that.
No,
We don't know the mileage, but we just two stage.
two
From
stages.
Caracara to Georgetown, Georgetown to Belfield and back.
Yeah.
So those are the two stages. What else you have?
On those two races, the first leg would be starting at 7:30, and the second leg would be 2 p.m. in the afternoon on the same day. That would be Sunday, the 23rd of February.
Okay.
On March the 2nd, we'll be having our annual commemorative concert at the Theatre Guild.
Yeah, well, I think I'm very much
Yeah.
involved in that aspect of the planning for the concert. And for this year, over the years, we have been having the best that you can find in Guyana to appear and perform for these concerts that we have annually. But for this year, we're going to be making sure. We're going to be making sure that we just don't have the best, but we have the cream this year. So those of you who have been part of the concert in the past, I want to give you the assurance that for this year, 2014, our commemorative concert will not only just be good, but it will be spectacular. So take my word for it. The last occasion, we referred to it as a donation of $1,000 to go in. Previous to that, we asked for a donation of $500. And the people who attended said that we have undersold ourselves, and because the quality of the performances necessitated a charge of $3,000. But we didn't go there. The following year, we just asked for a donation of $1,000. This year, based on the recommendation of the committee, I don't know what those charges would be, but we do not kind of refuse if persons would like to come and you want to offer more than we have asked for the donation for this year. Since it's going to be spectacular, we would not kind of refuse. But I know the charges would not be under $1,000. It would not be under, it can be more, but you can make a contribution of more. So just that. What else you have down there, Julianne?
Yes, Mr. Hinds. That basically concludes the list of activities that we will be having this year. The concert, we're hoping that members of the public would come out. It's normally a very entertaining, healthy, entertaining afternoon. And as Mr. Hinds said, the cream of the crop from our entertainment industry in Guyana would be performing, and we're expecting you to come out and contribute towards the activity as well as the symposium and the church service. Those are the activities we're looking forward for the general public support.
Yes, there you have it, viewers. You have the Vice-Chairperson giving you an outline, a prelude as to what would be happening in the month of February. Like I said, today's program is geared towards getting you acquainted with what we are doing and what we intend to do for the rest of 2014. Further to that, we are hoping that you can come on board, make your contribution. Later on in the program, we're going to be opening the lines to members of the public to come and to call in. But before we do that, I want to go to the Public Relations Officer of the Foundation, my good friend, Mr. Dwayne Edwards. Now I know he's raring to go to tell you what is happening. But why these activities? Why is the Foundation doing all this? Just give us some ideas as to why you're involved in all these things.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hinds. Good morning, Guyana. As said, I'm tasked with the responsibility of backgrounding the events and activities that we'll be staging for the 91st anniversary. 91st anniversary of the late President of Guyana and first President of the Republic.
First executive
President of the Republic of Guyana. And the situation is that currently we're in an age where there is a lack of positive role models. Many of the role models that are out there are those that are churned out for us by the entertainment industry. You know, the big celebrities, the superstars, and so forth. And unfortunately, those persons are tied to this whole logic of consumerism. So by taking them as role models, we ourselves become locked within this consumerist logic. Want to wear what they wear, drive what they drive, eat what they eat, and those kind of things, right? So in terms of role models that can effect positive social, political, economic changes, there's somewhat of a lack of that, and especially in the context of Guyana, right? And which is why I think the life of Forbes Burnham, which is imbued with positive personal, political, and academic accomplishments, can be used as veritable role model for the youths of Guyana. And the emphasis here is on the youths.
On the youths.
The present and the future, right? And if this is a publication compiled by the University of Guyana Library on the Forbes Burnham, it was in commemoration, the library's contribution to the year of the people of African descent. And at the back of it, there is a profile of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, some of his academic and other accomplishments. I've seen longer than this, so this is a very abridged version of his lifelong achievements and accomplishments.
Let me just go over quickly there for you. You feel that looking at the life and achievements of Forbes Burnham should impact positively on young people who have been bombarded with this negative aspect of kind of development, as well as of personal development and community and country development?
Well, I think going through his life, his accomplishments would serve two purposes. One is that it would fill a vacuum out there that I related to earlier in relation to the lack of positive role models, especially in the context of Guyana, in our political and other social spheres. And it would also serve to a very large extent dispel some of the negative images and notions we have out there about Burnham. So it's two important functions this would serve.
Okay, let me...
So let's go through. I just want to go through this very abridged version list compiled by the University of Guyana. Well, of course, he was born the 20th of February, 1923. I need to inject this here. I was born on 19th. Right? Yeah, so,
yes.
He was educated by the Kitty Methodist School. After, I think that was his primary school.
Yes.
Then he went on to Central High School. Then he went on to Queen's College. He won an internal scholarship and go to this Queen's College. In 1936, he won a government junior scholarship. In 1937, there was the Percival exhibition. In 1942, he won the British Guiana Scholarship. He went to the University of London, Gray's Inn, London, to study. That's where he studied law. Yeah. Well, he married in the same year. In 1947, he became the president of the West Indian Student Union. That's in London. And he was the recipient of the Best Speakers Cup. So here is a Guyanese person surrounded by Creole speakers, going into the art of the English-speaking country and outspeaking others in a speaking competition. And I think that's a very important, a remarkable feat.
Achievement.
Yeah. In 1948, he was called to the bar. In 1947, he was the co-founder of the People's Progressive Party. I think before that, he served in the Political Affairs Committee, right? And out of that, the People's Progressive Party emerged. Importantly, he was the person that came up with the name, the People's Progressive Party. So he is listed here as the co-founder of one of the most important and lasting political institutions in Guyana. In 1952, he was elected to the Georgetown City Council. In 1953, he became the Minister of Education. That's after the first election under universal adult suffrage. And he was very involved in the fight for universal adult suffrage. In 1957, he became the founder of the People's National Congress after the little breakaway, the conflict. In 1957 to 64, from 57 to 64, he became the leader of the opposition and president of the Bar Association. In 1959 to 64, he was the mayor of Georgetown. 1963 to 65, he became the president of the Guyana Labor Union, which was founded by the legendary Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow. Right? So he was walking in the shadow of great leaders. In 1964, he became the premier. 1966, he became the prime minister of Guyana. In 1973, he was awarded the Order of Excellence of Guyana, the highest, one of our highest honors. In 1980, he became the president of the Republic, the first executive president of Guyana. He achieved some honors from other countries. He received the highest honor of, well, of course, Guyana, as mentioned before. He achieved the highest honor, he was awarded the highest honor of the Egyptian government, the Cuban government, the Brazilian government, the Yugoslavian government, the Bulgaria's government, and he was also conferred with an honorary Doctor of Law degree by the Dalhousie University in Canada.
Dwayne, I want to comment at this point to make an observation, a comment in relation to the biodata that you have been outlining on Forbes Burnham. It goes without saying that exemplify the distinguished career of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. But in that outline, you said that he functioned and operated as co-founder for the People's Progressive Party, one of the lasting institutions in this country. When the history of this country is being recorded, I hope that the historians will take cognizance of that role that Forbes Burnham played in the early days of the PPP, because from the evidence that is there, I have been reliably informed, based on this program that we have had with persons who have been close with Burnham, that Burnham was even kind of responsible for the writing of the constitution of the party.
Yeah, he was the most respected, one of the most respected legal minds around the time. So he would have had a very key input in the crafting of the constitution.
Yes, that is for sure.
I don't think that's contestable.
Not just naming the party, but even the production of the party's constitution.
The structure
that is the
of the
PPP.
party, he contributed.
He
the
was
structure
the
of the party.
architect of that. And among the other kind of achievements. Now the foundation, that outline that you have given, looking at this man, what you're trying to get, like you said, you would like young people to know the approach that this man has taken and the contribution that he has made, not just only to himself, but towards the development of the country that he has led for all those years. And from what I've gleaned from that biodata, he never lost focus in relation to the interests of the Guyanese people, because his whole thrust was to make sure that he was equipped with the kind of knowledge base that would have made him, that would have given him the resources to really lead his people, which he did with distinction. And not to forget that Burnham has been voted, not just requested or suggested. He has been voted as the Caribbean man of the 20th century. And that is an achievement in its own right. Because there were a lot of distinguished leaders in the Caribbean, inclusive of Eric Williams, Fidel Castro, and those other leaders, Errol Barrow and them, and Manley, and to come out being elected as the Caribbean man of the 20th century is an achievement of no mean order.
Remarkable. Yes, but getting back to this list, what this list is indicating is that this person was Burnham was very active. And I think I read, it was an excerpt from Martin Carter, and it's a sentiment I heard repeated by the former Foreign Affairs Minister when we interviewed him, that Mr. Jackson, Burnham is the kind of guy, was the kind of guy or leader that demanded gigantic effort from whosoever is around him, his colleagues, right? And that is because he himself contributed gigantic efforts into the development of Guyana, right? So he demanded a lot from others only because he himself contributed a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So from this very list, it was a very, what this indicates is that it was a very active life, was a very accomplished life, and because of that, I think he is very good as a person to be used as a role model for the Guyanese youths. Very good role model, very good role model. And apart from that, we need also to address the issue of dispelling some of the negative notions. What we have here in Guyana, and this is clear, is that Burnham is usually demonized, bad guy, you know, as a bad guy, good guy dichotomy thing in Guyana. Burnham the bad guy, Chelly Jagan the good guy, and those kind of things. But what are we using as the yardstick to judge whether he was bad and good? It was a period amounting to no more than maybe 10 years of his life, as opposed to 6 to 2 years of his life. So by saying that he was a bad guy, we totally disregard all of these things here, right? And focused on a particular moment or a particular period in his life, right? So that particular period, that 10 years in his life, became the stand-in for the 60-something years of his life. And even that 10 years of his life, I don't even think it's so much. That 10 years of his life is just a period, it's just a particular moment in that 10 years. So it is a moment of a moment that is being used to taint this person as the devil, as the worst thing Guyana has experienced. And I think while we're talking about that, I was at a conference, not a conference, a symposium organized by the Ghana Day Committee last Sunday. And very importantly, Mr. Kissoon, Freddie Kissoon, a very harsh critic of Burnham by any standard, very harsh critic. And he was kind of giving us a sociological assessment of the post-independence Guyanese history, right? And out of that assessment, what he said is that what emerged from within the post-colonial times is two social formations existing side by side in Guyana. The social formation that was included the PNC supporters, Africans, the way of thinking, their position in the economy, the position in the society, etc. And in the other hand, you had the PPP, largely supported by Indians, their position in the economy, their position in society, and so forth. And what had happened, because many of the demonizing came because of rigged elections, right? So what had happened is that, according to Kissoon's presentation, also, although Burnham is accused of rigging the election, he rigged the election to stabilize what could have been a very volatile situation in Guyana. And he did that by maintaining what Kissoon called the dual economy. African dominance in the private sector, African dominance in the public sector, Indian dominance in the private sector. Similar to what obtained in Trinidad under Eric Williams. And because of that, the situation was kind of stabilized. The ethnic, socio-political situation was stabilized for a little while because Africans had their source of income, which because of their attachment to the public sector. Indians also had their source of income. None was Burnham, as an African, he never go out there to destroy the Indians' control of the private economy or their source of income. That was never, that kind of racism was not under Burnham's rule. He stated, and I think this is incontestable, that there was ethnic pandering under the regime, right? But the ethnic pandering was kind of what he called situational, rather than ideological. There was no ideological drift or movement to destroy one set of people and create the superiority of another people. So although it is alleged that he rigged the election, right, which is something bad by modern democratic standards. It was done against a background to secure a people who were whose economy were historically rigged from the era of slavery, colonialism, and even the post-colonial times. Right? The African economy was rigged during all those times. So Burnham was allegedly involved in politically rigging the election so as to stave off the negative consequences that rigging the economy could have had on a particular section of the Guyanese economy.
Very interesting concept there, Dwayne. I would be opening these lines not long from now for viewers to make their contribution. And I must say that that's an interesting slant from Freddie, knowing Freddie, harsh critic of Forbes Burnham, to come up with a concept of that sort, obviously is very interesting. But on this program, on the foundations program that we have had over the years, we have looked at a number of subjects that were addressed by Forbes and Burnham. And if you go to the period while he was in government, you will see the thrust, Burnham and education. We have addressed that on this program with various representatives on the panel. Burnham and foreign policy. Burnham and the non-aligned movement, which is inclusive of foreign policy. Burnham and local government, which we'll be discussing this year at the symposium again. We have looked at all those things. Burnham and liberation struggle, we had that on the last program. We have looked also Burnham and youth. There was a whole month dedicated, or a whole week dedicated to young people in this country under Forbes Burnham.
Yes.
Burnham and women. Special emphasis. He took time to make sure that everyone was covered under the umbrella of his leadership in Guyana. And he did that with distinction. So for social thinkers like Freddie and others to come up with concept of that sort after analyzing the quality of work and input that was made by this man over the years, it is only right, that people, like you said, give him the due respect that is due to him in relation to the things that he did for not just Guyana, but the international community at large. We have stationed in Guyana the CARICOM Secretariat. It didn't happen by magic. Leaders of the Caribbean, when I had Mr. Kisoon on this program with Mr. Rashley Jackson, the decision was made by the other leaders, Eric Williams and Manley and all of them, that because of the work that Forbes Burnham did, no one should seek to have the Secretariat being established, being cited in any other country other than Georgetown. And that was a direct kind of decision as a result of the contribution that Forbes Burnham made towards CARICOM. So Forbes Burnham did not just only contribute to the development of Guyana, its people, young people, inclusive and women. He made a contribution towards the Caribbean people, looking at how we can bridge this gap of separation amongst the people of the region. Not only that, with the politics, international politics, he played a significant role at the non-aligned movement. Those development activities Forbes Burnham didn't really play with. So you see the quality of leadership that came from Forbes Burnham. I want to open the lines now, but I want to remind you that today's program, we are geared towards observing the 91st birth anniversary of Forbes Burnham coming up in February. We have given you earlier in the program an outline as to those activities. We have organized the church service, the symposium, the conference, the cycle race, which we have been having annually. But we would like you to also participate. We would like you to, if you move to the point where you think you have experienced good leadership with this man, you can join this organization. You can come to the conference. We will have forms so you can join and make a contribution towards the work of the foundation, because our goal is to keeping the legacy, the ideas and the work of Forbes Burnham alive in this nation, so that our young people and those who come after us will know about this great man, this great son of Guyana. so that when we leave this stage of action in our sojourn on earth, we would know, people coming after us would know what type of man led, or people led this country, of which Forbes Burnham did with distinction. I want to open the lines to our viewers. We will take your calls now. So if you're listening to this program, please feel free to call. Dwayne, what else is the focus for this year in relation to really bringing about this acquaintance to the members of the public on the work of Forbes Burnham and the foundation?
Well, the theme this year is local democracy, and
Yes.
that's because we're in the era of the local democratic reforms. There is the expectation that very soon we'll have local government elections and so forth, right? So because we're in that atmosphere, we want to, by means of the symposium, to highlight Burnham's contribution during his years as President of the Republic of Guyana, Burnham's contribution in that regard. I think he was the person that reintroduced local government elections in Guyana, and he's the person that is under his tenure that the local government, the configuration, the structure of it and everything was designed. And since that time to now, we haven't really deviated a lot from what he, under his tenureship.